The Random Jottings of Hinge and Bracket, with Dr. Evadne Hinge and Dame Hilda Bracket. With friends and neighbours at Stacked and Trestle, Daphne Hurd and David Griffin in The Dropout.
Many people seem to think that because Evadne and I live in a small country place like Stacked and Trestle, we are able to pursue our interests free from distraction and interruption. But alas, this is not so. It really is surprising how many times a day we're disturbed by people hammering on the front door. Starts with the postman. You know, he knocks every morning to tell us that he's got his knuckles caught in the letterbox. Then the other morning there was a young man knock just to tell us that the world was going to end on Thursday. And I said to Evadne, well, if it's got to happen, it may as well be on a Thursday, you know. Half-day closing anyway. And he'd no sooner gone than a man from the water board arrived looking for a leak. And you could tell by his expression that he thought we had one and weren't letting on. He got terribly angry because Evadne, she'd let her creeping Jenny creep all over the storm drain. And our stopcock, well, I mean, it wasn't where he thought it should have been. And so it goes on. But a week or two ago, we had a very distraction. It all began about 11 o'clock in the morning. It was on the Wednesday, while Evadne was in the drawing room running over one of our favourite pieces, you see.
On a tree by a river, a little tomtit sang willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. And I said to him, Dicky, but why do you sit singing willow, tit-willow, tit-willow?
Evadne, is that you making that extraordinary noise? And I'm not being funny about your singing, dear.
It's not me, Hilda. It's that pigeon sitting outside there on the windowsill.
Pigeon? Oh, I see. Oh, well, I never. Hello, birdie. Oh, go.
Oh, don't you start. It's bad enough having to put up with the pigeon.
Oh, it's a lovely bird, Evadne.
It's a very rude bird, Hilda.
Well, pigeons do tend to be a bit on the rude side now. That's why they're so unpopular with local councils.
Every time I start to play, that thing taps the glass with its beak and coos.
It's what they call getting the bird, dear.
I must say I was rather hoping it would have gone before you got going on the bird jokes.
You mustn't let it ruffle your feathers, dear.
Just get rid of it, will you, Hilda?
What do you want me to do, dear? Shoot it?
Just shoo it away.
Very well, if that's what you want. Shoo. Go on, you silly bird. Fly off. No, it's no good, Evadne. It's just sitting staring at me through the glass as if I'm stark raving mad.
It's hardly surprising, dear. That is rather the impression you're giving. You must be more aggressive, Hilda. Frighten it.
Evadne, I am not in the habit of frightening birds. I have a bird bath on the lawn and half a coconut hanging from the rose arch for my tits. I suppose I could try holding one of the cats up to the window.
Which one, dear? The short-sighted one? The bone-idle one? Or the one that's frightened of feathers? No, just open the window, dear, and it'll fly away.
Oh, very well. No one shall say that I haven't done my best to humour you. There, it's open.
Well, has it done the trick?
It has. It's done it all right. It's walked straight in.
Quick, dear, quick. Pick it up and throw it out again. Shh.
Do lower your voice, Evadne. Suppose someone from the RSPCA were to hear you.
They can fly, you know, Hilda.
Do you know, dear, the way this bird's looking at you, I think it knows you.
Oh, don't be so utterly ridiculous.
It's not so ridiculous, dear. It's probably seen you going in and out of the town hall while it's been sitting up there on the roof. Because they're not stupid, you know. People use them for carrying messages. They must be able to remember things.
here is to tie the messages to their legs, Hilda. They don't actually memorize them.
No, but they have to remember where they're going with them, don't they? I mean, it wouldn't be any good sending a message that didn't get where it was going. You could rely on the post office for that. Oh, look at him sitting on that bust of Bizet. He's treating it like a pull-up for Carmen.
He's not, dear.
Never mind. He looks a bit sleepy, you know. I think he's dozing off. He's probably exhausted himself. He's not had a morning like this before, you know, have you? You've not had a morning like this before, have you? Everybody waving and shouting at you.
Hilda, I think I could possibly put up with a pigeon. But I really am not going to be able to cope with you going on like that.
Well, I was only being sociable, dear. Birdie talk. I tell you what. Let's sing the Titwillow song all the way through for him and see what he does.
Don't you think that would be tempting Providence, Hilda?
Would you like to hear Auntie Evadne singing the...
All right, Hilda, dear, all right. Stop that and we'll do the song instead. On a tree by a river, a little tomtit sang willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. And I said to him, Dicky bird, why do you sit singing willow, tit-willow, tit-willow? Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cried, or a rather tough worm in your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, oh, willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. He slept at his chest as he sat on that bough, singing willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. And a cold perspiration bespangled his brow, oh, willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. He sobbed and he sighed, and a gurgle he gave as he tossed himself into a billowy wave. And an echo arose from the suicide grave. Oh, willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. Now I feel just as sure as I'm sure that my name isn't willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. That was blighted affection that made him exclaim, oh, willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. So if you remain callous and obdurate, may he well do as he did, and you will know why. I probably shall not exclaim as I die. Oh, willow, tit-willow, tit-willow. Well, what do you know, Evadne? That bird's dropped right off. I'm glad. I think I like it better asleep.
Oh, that sounds like Maud. Oh, and I see she's got Tom with her. How nice.
I wish I'd never come with him. I wish you'd never come with me at all.
Yes, sounds as though they're really enjoying each other's company.
Good morning, Dame Hilda. Doctor. Morning, ladies.
Morning, Maud. Hello, Tom, dear.
Good morning.
I say, what's that you've got in your hand, Maud?
It's a bone of contention. It's the door handle off my car. It fell off, and I caught it.
How very adroit of you, Maud.
Well, go on, Ma. Tell him the rest.
Now, I thought it couldn't be as simple as all that.
You see, I put my hand on the handle to open the door, and the handle came off and the door fell out. And I hung on to the handle.
That sounds like great presence of mind, darling.
He blames me. But we all know British workmanship. The bottom should never have fell out like that.
It wouldn't have done if you'd not been jumping about where you shouldn't have been.
And where was I supposed to be then, once that seat had broke?
The seat wouldn't have broke if you'd not thrown yourself back on it so sudden.
I didn't throw myself back on it. I got Frowed when he hit the fence. And you can't blame me for that, my lad, because you had an hand on the steering wheel as well as me.
So you hit a fence, did you? Well, lucky you weren't hurt. And I do hope the people weren't too angry about it.
Well, as I said to Tom, I said, it's a blessing as it happened where it did, Dame Hilda.
Oh, yes? And where exactly did it happen, Maud?
You've no call to look at me like that, Doctor. It happened at home.
Well, you hadn't got very far then, had you?
About 50 yards, when she suddenly threw it into reverse. God knows how she did it. I was supposed to be driving.
Well, there's nowhere for a proper-sized person to put themselves these days.
And you've still got the door handle in your hand there after all that.
You know, it's funny the things we hangs on to in times of crisis.
Yeah.
Like old Mr. Glanville, when he were bombed in the war. When they dug him out of the rubble after 11 hours, he still had his rhubarb in his hand.
Oh, Mr. Glanville, the school caretaker. I didn't know he'd been bombed. I thought he always looked like that.
They were in Dulwich during the doodle bugging, and just got in off his allotment one dinner time when Hitler struck. Yet he never let go his rhubarb.
Well, I suppose we've all got to have something to hang on to.
What an extraordinary morning you've had.
Well, I felt such a fool sitting on the bus with this handle in me hand. The conductor said to me, it must have been a nasty accident if that's all you got left of the car. No real harm done, eh?
Except to poor Dad.
Oh, your father was in the car with you, was he?
No, Arthur was right behind the fence when we hit it.
Your father's all right, I hope, Tom.
Well, he's not hurt, Doctor, but he's covered in creosote.
Typical of that man. I've been trying to get him to do that fence for 2.5 years, and he has to choose the very morning we back into it.
Well, I expect you're a bit shaken, Maud, dear. Now, why don't you sit down for a minute or two, and I'll make us all a nice cup of tea.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Dame Hilda, but I'll not give no one the opportunity to say I neglected me duties. I'll make us all a nice cup of tea.
Well, just as you wish, dear.
Oh, I'm afraid Ma's rather upset my plans for this morning. You see, I was going to suggest that I run you two ladies down to the Music Emporium. All the building work's done there now, and we need a few decisions about the decorating.
Oh, good, Tom. Now, I've got 1 or 2 ideas about that.
And I've got 1 or 2 ideas about it as well, Evadne.
Then we shall have to talk about it, won't we now?
Yes, we will. I do think the decor is most terribly important.
I quite agree with you, Dan.
I mean, it's terribly important that it's right.
I couldn't agree more, Hilda.
I mean, really right.
I know exactly what you mean, Hilda. You mean the way you want it.
Well, you must admit, dear, that is usually right.
That is a matter of opinion.
Well, not really, dear. It's a matter of natural good taste and a certain flair. But I don't want to argue about it now, not in front of Tom.
Oh, don't mind me, ladies. Here. Here. Did that thing sitting on that bust over there just move?
I don't know, dear, did it? I wasn't really looking, to tell you the truth.
What is it?
One surely doesn't need to be an ornithologist, Tom, to recognise that as a pigeon.
Is it alive?
If it were dead, dear, it would have rolled over by now and fallen off.
No, I mean, I saw it when I first come in, but I thought it must have been stuffed.
Evadne wishes it was, don't she?
Well, what's it doing in here?
She wishes she knew that as well, don't she?
It came down in the garden, Tom, and Hilda had to let the blessed thing in.
Well, it's got a ring on, you know.
Wedding or engagement, dear?
She's been like this all morning, bird-brained.
Oh, I know perfectly well what a ring is, Evadne. Of course I do.
No, that's a racing bird. It'll have got lost or tired. Something like that.
There you are, Evadne. Poor, lost, tired little bird. And you wanted me to throw it out of the window, you brute.
I'll get its number off that ring and we can find out who it belongs to.
Mind the harp, Tom.
Sorry.
It's all right, Tom. We all do it, dear. Even Hilda, though she flatly refuses to admit it.
Evadne, I have never once bumped into that harp since it's been in this room. And even if I had, it would be your fault. Because you made me bring it in here out of the hall, and I never bumped into it when it was in the hall.
That thing is in the way in here.
You said it was in the way out there.
It was in the way out there. It is also in the way in here.
Then where can I put it where it won't be in the way?
I've told you, at the Emporium.
But I don't want it at the Emporium, Evadne. I want it here.
Then put it in your bedroom, dear.
In my bedroom? Oh, don't be so unreasonable. It would be in the way in there. You just listen, dear, and I'm beginning to master it. Oh, blast. I've broken another fingernail.
Now, look what you've done. You've woken that thing up as well.
That wasn't me that woke him there. That was Tom taking his number.
Probably thought I was a traffic warden.
Have you got it all right now?
Yep. Now, if I can use your phone, I'll go and ring... No pun intended.
None taken.
The Royal Pigeon Racing Association for you.
Royal, dear.
Oh, it is now, yes.
I didn't know the Queen went in for that sort of thing. Did you, Daphne?
No, it won't be her, dear. No, if it's any of them, it'll be the Queen Mother.
Well, I'll give them this number.
What, our phone number now?
No, the pigeon's number, dame.
Leave it to Tom, dear. He knows what he's doing.
Then he'll give me the address of the owner, and we can tell him it's here. See? Won't be a tick.
I say, aren't we having a lovely morning, Evadne? So much is happening.
Yes, dear, isn't it? And all we'd planned was a nice uninterrupted few hours at the piano.
Oh, Maud, tea.
Coffee, Dame Hilda. A nice cup of coffee.
I thought it was tea we were going to have, Maud.
It may have been tea we was going to have, Doctor, but it's coffee we got.
Don't we have any tea left then, Maud?
Well, we do, Dame Hilda, but last time I swept it up and put it back, you complained about the flat.
Coffee's fine, Maud. Coffee is fine.
And you don't have to hide that bird from me, neither. Tom's told me all about that.
Oh, we weren't hiding it, Maud, there. It was sitting on Bizet there, fast asleep, in full view of everybody.
Well, I'm not cleaning up after it, and you needn't think I am. I never been that fond of pigeons, not since Arthur used to keep 'em and they ate my hat.
Your hat, dear.
A lovely straw I had for a wedding one time, all covered in little red berries, it were. And two of his tumblers took 'em for their tea.
His tumblers, dear, sounds very acrobatic.
Oh, he had all sorts. Tumblers, pouters, and a ruddy blue checker white flight cock. Nasty birds with nasty names and nasty natures. And nobody but Arthur would have had the gall to like 'em. I'm surprised at you, Dame Hilda, allowing that thing into your lovely home.
Well, it's only temporarily, dear, just till we find its owner.
Of that you can be absolutely certain.
You see, even the doctor don't like it.
It's not that I don't like it, Maud. It's just that I happen to believe that in nature there's a place for everything, and the place for that bird is not in our drawing room.
Oh, who's a poor little pigeon then?
Yes, but the main reason I shall be glad to see the back of that bird is because of what it's doing to Hilda.
I got through.
Oh, any luck, Tom, dear?
Of course. I spoke to the owner's wife. That thing's lost. Shouldn't be anywhere near here. Anyway, she'll get him to come and collect it at the weekend.
At the weekend? But it's only Wednesday, dear. What are we supposed to do with it in the meantime?
Don't look at me, Hilda. That, as they say, is your pigeon.
And don't look at me neither, Dame Hilda. You know I'd do anything for you, but I'll not nursemaid a pigeon, not after what they done to my hat.
Don't worry, Dame. As long as that bird is still here when the man arrives. Now, if he comes all the way from Normanton and finds it gone, he'll kill you.
Now, there you are, Hilda. A nice change for you. You can spend a few days bird watching.
Now, I was going to suggest that we took a stroll down to the Emporium to settle that colour scheme.
You'll have to do it alone, Evadne. I can't leave the bird. Not with Maud Hostile and 3 timid cats.
No, you don't. I know you. Duck the responsibility of choosing and do nothing but grumble afterwards. Well, I'm not having it. You can bring the bird with you.
Oh, what a good idea, Doctor. Get it out of the house.
And how do you suppose I'm going to carry it, Evadne?
Stick it on your shoulder like Long John Silver.
I'll see if I can find a cardboard box.
I am not carrying a cardboard box.
Here, tell you what. I've got an old goldfish bowl back home. We could pop it in the goldfish bowl, put a plate over the top and make a string handle to carry it by. How about that?
And what, Tom dear, do you imagine people would think if they saw me walking down the high street, swinging a goldfish bowl with a pigeon in it and a plate over the top?
They'd probably think you've got an Arts Council grant, dear. Like that man who wanders around carrying a plank.
Perhaps they'd think you'd a pigeon what ate goldfish instead of the berries off people's hats.
This conversation is getting rather distasteful, especially to that pigeon. Oh, look at him. He's gone all droop. You don't know which would be worse, do you, little darling? To be left with 3 pussycats in your Auntie Maud, or carried and distracted in a goldfish bowl with a plate over your head on.
Why don't you take the kettle?
Kettle, Maud? Did you say kettle, dear?
Well, it's got everything you need. A handle to hold it by, a lid to cover it, and a spout so's it can breathe.
And then somebody says to me, why are you carrying that kettle? And I say, I've got my pigeon in it. I mean, talk about silly Suffolk. Now, until that man arrives, everything else will have to wait. I'm housebound with that bird. Well, over the next few days, we all grew quite fond of the bird, you see. Even Maud soon stopped calling it ratbag. And she bought it a big plastic dog bone, though whether she expected it to perch on it or eat it, I'll never know. All 3 cats, once they'd got over the initial shock, were very brave and eventually stopped hiding from it altogether. And it lived in a cardboard box in the kitchen, and it slept. It slept on one of Evadne's old Wincey-nighties. Well, I'm sure she wouldn't have minded, and I did give it a thorough wash before I slipped it back in the drawer. Mind you, on the Friday morning there was a bit of a scene when Evadne discovered that it had got into the bathroom and made rather a mess of her loofah. So it was with rather mixed feelings that we finally welcomed the bird's owner. Mind, the bird didn't welcome it at all.
Blasted bird. And how do you think I'm going to get it down from the roof, then?
Well, couldn't you just call it?
Call it? I'd call it, all right. But not in front of ladies.
Perhaps we could lure it with food.
Oh, yes, it loves chocolate.
No, you've not been giving it chocolate, I hope.
Well, Evadne has, yes, I have. But just a little bit, you know. It adores those chocolate-covered peanuts, didn't you know?
Oh, blasted bird.
Would you like me to get you a ladder?
Hey, you don't think I'm going up after it, do you? Oh, I'd have thought you'd have had it in a box, ready and waiting.
It was ready and waiting till you arrived.
I'll tell you somewhat about that bird. It's useless. Always getting lost. Never won a race. Never even finished one. You're useless. Bad blood, you see. His brothers are just the same. Your brothers are just the same. The old clutch. Useless. A waste of time. You're a waste of time. Oh, forget it. Let's go.
What do you mean, forget it?
I mean, forget it. Leave it. Luckily, I had a business appointment here, any road. I'd not have bothered else. Well, it's your last chance. Are you coming down or not? Stuff it. I do beg your pardon, ladies, but that thing drives me wild. Well, I'll be off. Thanks for ringing.
But what are we supposed to do with it?
Do with it? I'll tell you what to do with it. If you can catch it, put it in a pie.
What an obnoxious little man.
Don't worry, Hilda. It'll be all right. They return to the wild, you know.
Oh, look, there's another one with it now.
Oh, there you are. Then.
Oh, and they're going, look. They're off. They're disappearing into the trees over there. You know, I think I'm really going to miss that bird.
I have to confess, Hilda, I was beginning to get rather attached to it myself.
Oh, look. Look, both birds, they're circling, and they're turning, and they're coming back this way. Quick, Evadne, indoors, dear, and shut that drawing room window.
the random jottings of Hinge and Bracket, with Dr. Evadne Hinge and Dame Hilda Bracket. With friends and neighbours at Stacton Trestle, Daphne heard David Griffin and Anthony Sharp in The Art Market.
Historically speaking, the artistic achievement of Stacton Trestle is decidedly limited to two people. There was a local sculptor appropriately named Stone, but by far the most prolific of our local artists was a Peregrine Cobb. He was a watercolourist who gained the nickname Casterdy Cobb because his palette was limited entirely to shades of yellow. This gave his snowscapes some curiosity value, and his portraits a decidedly jaundiced look. The tiny local art gallery and museum was bequeathed some 3,500 of his pictures in 1948. These are exhibited on a rotation basis, 2 at a time. Changing every month, which means, of course, that one only has to live in Stacton for 145 years to see the lot. But there is art in Stacton still, as Evadne and I discovered the morning we went to the Music Emporium to inspect the decor and to arrange the stock prior to reopening. You know, Evadne, I'm still not sure that we chose the right colours for this room, dear.
We didn't choose them, Hilda. You did.
Now, that's simply not true. I distinctly remember Tom, you and I standing on this very spot looking at that colour chart together.
And I distinctly remember you insisting on marshmallow walls and a buttermilk ceiling, Hilda. Even Tom thought it would look gooey.
It doesn't look gooey.
Those marshmallow walls are definitely gooey.
Oh, nonsense. Anyway, it's the buttermilk ceiling that worries me. I just don't think it's right.
I told you it wouldn't be.
You did not.
I most certainly did.
Well, I didn't hear you. You must have mumbled. 'Cause you do that sometimes, you know, dear. You mumble.
You heard all right. You flatly refused to take my advice.
If you were so sure you were right, dear, you should have insisted. I would have done.
You did. And look what we got.
Anyway, we don't want to argue about it.
I say, Hilda,
What, dear?
there's a strange little man peering in at the window.
Oh, yes.
I think he's trying to attract our attention.
Well, I certainly can't think of any other reason why he'd be jumping up and down like that and waving. Unless it's a bit funny.
Have you ever seen him before?
No, never. And in that red woolly hat and that bright green suit, he looks as if he's fallen off somebody's rockery. I wonder where his fishing rod is.
Go and tell him the shop's not open yet, Hilda.
Oh, very well. I'm sorry, but we're not open yet.
It's no good shouting through the letterbox, Hilda. Unlock the door and see what the man wants.
Oh, honestly. Excuse me, young man, but if you're looking for us, we're not open yet, as the sign says.
Oh, it's all right. I don't want to buy anything. I was told you might be able to help me.
Well, you'd better come in.
Thanks. You see, I've only recently moved into Stacton. I'm an artist, a painter. You are Dame Hilda Bracket.
Yes, dear.
I'm Gareth Morley.
Yes, dear.
The name doesn't mean anything to you?
Well, no, I'm afraid it doesn't. Evadne, does the name Gareth Morley mean anything to you, dear?
No. Should it?
Well, he seems to think it should. I'm very sorry, Mr. Morley. I'm sure they've heard of you somewhere now, but it certainly doesn't seem to be around now.
No. There seems to have been a bit of a breakdown in communications. You see, I understood from Mrs. Dyrenforth up at the big house.
Oh, Lorna.
Yes, that she'd already spoken to you about me and that you were going to organise the art market for her.
We were going to organise it, were we?
That's what she said. Arts and crafts, yes. Stalls, One Saturday, perhaps. You know the sort of thing.
Oh, I know the sort of thing, all right. And we were going to organise it?
Oh, do stop saying that, Evadne. He's made himself perfectly plain. We were going to organise it.
Hilda,
Yes.
have you put Lorna Dyrenforth's number in that little book by the phone yet?
Yes, dear, under damp proofing.
Why is Lorna under damp proofing, Hilda?
She's under D, dear. So far, there are 2 entries under D, damp proofing and Dyrenforth's. And alphabetically, Dyrenforth comes under damp proofing. It's all perfectly logical, but of course, if you can do anything better...
No, dear. I'll give her a call straight away.
Evadne,
What, dear?
control. Count to 10 before you dial. After all, she organises the roster of helpers for this place, don't forget. And we don't want to scupper ourselves on a point of principle.
It's all right, Hilda. I shall be polite but very firm. Just leave it to me.
I say, I really am most frightfully sorry to have caused all this bother.
Oh, it's no bother, dear. Between you and me, Evadne thrives on misunderstandings.
Well, Mrs. Dyrenforth was certainly right about you, Dame Hilda.
Was she, dear? And what exactly did she say?
She said I would recognize you at once by your wonderful bone structure.
Did she say that? How very sweet of her. So perceptive.
She suggested, and I intend to take her up on this suggestion, if you're agreeable.
Yes.
She suggested that I should paint you in the character of Brunhilda. I bet you were superb in the role.
As a matter of fact, I was. I still have my Brunhilde costume at home. It fits absolutely perfectly. Not that I wear it about the house, of course. But it's rather too dressy even for the evenings, yes. It's the winged helmet, you see. It just pushes it that teeny bit too far. Oh, here's Evadne back. Well, did you speak to her, dear?
Yes, I did.
You didn't upset her?
No, I didn't.
You counted up to 10, then, just as I told her.
Yes, I did. And I wish I hadn't,
Why, dear?
because you talked me into it.
Well, there you are then, Mr. Morley. You were right after all. We are organising the art market. If the truth be told, I was really rather excited about the idea of the art market. I visualised a great coming together under one roof for one glorious day of all the multifarious talents that usually flower unseen in Stepton. At one stall, a potter slinging his pot. At another, an iron worker working his iron. At a third, a spoke shaver shaving his spoke. I felt it most important that we secured the right premises, and I held in my mind's eye a vision of the beauty, elegance, and exquisite taste of somewhere like Glyndebourne, or Blenheim, or the Orangery at Holland House. However, in the event, we had to settle for the old gasworks. Well, mind you, it was a superb example of Victorian architecture, containing a lot of lovely filigree work and fluted cast-iron columns. And as Evadne pointed out, the lingering smell of gas could prove of great benefit to anybody suffering from whooping coughes. More practically, it was the only place that was anything like large enough that we could get for nothing. The response from Stepton was overwhelming, and some few days before the event, Evadne and I settled into the drawing room at the old manse, and we began the task of allocating floor space to prospective exhibitors.
Now, what about the candle maker, Hilda? Where shall we put him there?
Somewhere where it's not going to matter too much if the floor is covered in hot wax, dear. Certainly not en route to the refreshments or the lavatories.
Right, C3, Hilda. That's the corner of the old retort house.
Sounds fine. And if it's too dark, he can always light his candles. Now, what about that terrible Mrs. Spicer?
Oh, the Meals on Wheels lady.
Yes, old Madam Bossy Boots. Oh, she thinks she's so clever. Stick her somewhere well out of the way, dear.
What is she exhibiting?
Well, she says she does something interesting with acorns, dear. I can't think of anything interesting one can do with an acorn, except plant it and grow an oak tree.
Well, she'll never manage that on a Saturday afternoon, dear.
I certainly hope not. We don't want her to be troubled with squirrels.
Tell you what, I'll stick her round the back of the scrubber. She can do anything she likes with her acorns there.
Evadne, I do wish you'd stop using gasworks jargon, dear. All this talk of retorts and scrubbers, it really doesn't suit you, you know. You're far too tall. Now, what about Maud, dear? Evadne, you did put her old Englishy sweetie shopper somewhere prominent, I hope.
Oh, yes, I have. But
Splendid.
I've not put anyone too close to her, just in case.
Well, talk of the devil, that sounds like her now.
Good morning, Dame Hilda. Doctor.
Hello, Maud, dear.
Good morning, Maud.
And how did your sweetie making turn out in the end, dear?
Well, I had no trouble with me marzipan potatoes.
Oh, splendid.
And me peppermint cream penguins. But the pulled toffee weren't easy at all.
Pulled toffee? That's very advanced, isn't it, dear?
Well, the making of it's not so hard. You just melt the butter,
Yes.
add the sugar, water, drop a vinegar,
Yes.
a treacle,
Yes.
and boil 'em up. It's then as the trouble starts. With the pull-in. I got the recipe here in me bag. Now, just listen to this.
Yes.
It says, to draw the toffee, 2 people are needed, each with well-buttered hands.
My God.
Now, lift the hot, soft mixture from the pan and pull ropes of it to pass to your partner. Throw it backwards and forwards, changing hands when the heat is unbearable. Use more butter on the hands if they are burning. Work fast, or it'll set too soon.
Sounds fraught with danger.
Well, I don't see how you could possibly do that on your own, dear.
Why, I didn't do it on my own. I did it with my Arthur.
Doubly fraught with danger.
Oh, he did his best. He really did. I have to admit it. I'm going down the hospital to see him later.
The hospital, dear.
1st-degree burns. But mercifully, 'tis only his hands. His feet ain't nothing like so bad.
What exactly did he do to his feet, Maud?
Why, you see, one of his shoes got stuck to the floor, and he were working in his stocking feet. Now, I don't know whether you've ever dropped a dollop of boiling hot coffee on your stocking foot, Dame Hilda.
Well, no, dear, never.
My Arthur's had hot toffee, and according to him, 'tis pretty painful. The air was absolutely blue.
His language was bad, was it, Maud?
Oh, it weren't his language, Doctor. It were the second pan of toffee. It caught. While I were trying to help him up,
Help him up, Maud.
off the floor where he'd fallen.
Fallen?
Trying to open the window he were when he slipped. That's how he got his laceration. When his hand went through the glass. Burns and lacerations. Dame Hilda, I do hope it's all been worth it. Here, try a toffee, see what you think.
Thank you, dear. They look lovely. I'll have it later on. And do give Arthur our love when you see him, won't you, dear? Oh, that's probably Major Dyrenforth and Tom back from the round.
I'll go, Dame Hilda, and then I'll get on with me work. It'll be nice to be in the kitchen where everything ain't sticky.
Yes, we like it that way as well, Maud.
Perhaps we should send Arthur a little get-well present, dear.
What do you suggest, Hilda? Sweets?
Oh, don't. Arthur doesn't like sweets, which makes his predicament all the more sad.
Ladies,
Oh, Major, Tom, you're back.
Afternoon,
No.
all.
Hello, dear. Did everything go all right?
you know, Hilda, I had no idea what went on behind the closed doors of Stockton. Men I knew only as rugger blues and old Rotarians spending their evenings making pixies out of pipe cleaners.
Now, you did call on Mrs. Telford, I hope, Major. She was most insistent. It seems she and all those ghastly children have been hard at it for ages making things. Well, you know what she's like, a sort of one-parent caboose.
No, we saw her all right. She opened the sitting room door, and there they were, everywhere.
The children.
The porcupines.
Porcupines, no?
You couldn't see the carpet for them, Hilda. They were drying their snouts.
Well, how had their snouts got wet in the first place?
They'd painted them, you see.
Oh.
Pine cones made into porcupines with shiny black snouts.
And little beady eyes. Glass like teddy bears, only tiny. Didn't half give me a turn. She switches on the light and there's 2,000 beady glass eyes turning. Wallop. Like Walt Disney had gone into horror movies.
Do they really look like porcupines, Major?
Well, to be quite honest, no. They look like pine cones with painted snouts and
Now, about the PA system, Major.
Ah, yes, the PA system. Tom?
Ah, yes, the PA system. Now, I haven't quite sorted that out.
I suppose you mean it hasn't fallen off the back of the lorry yet, do you?
I don't know. As a matter of fact, I don't, Dame. The trouble is, the stuff I'm giving to the fella in exchange for the PA system, well, that ain't fallen off the back of the lorry yet.
Oh, Maud.
I've made us all a nice cup of tea, Dame Hilda.
Well, now everybody's here, we can try your toffee, Maud. Pass it round, dear, will you?
I got some in my pocket here. It's a bit sticky. Still, excuse fingers.
Doctor? Well, thank you, Maud. No, don't bother, dear. I'll pick the fluff off myself.
Tom?
Ah, the rock upon which our kitchen foundered. Thanks, Mom.
Major?
I say, this looks rather splendid. You must give the recipe to my good lady wife. Might get her off the sugar and mice. She uses all my garden twine for tails.
What about Manda?
Dame Hilda.
Thank you, Maud, bless you. Wow.
Though I says it just shouldn't. You can't buy toffee like that.
By the time the day of the art market arrived, we were all talking normally again. Though Evadne had, meantime, found it necessary to make a fuss and pay a visit to the dentist. After all, she does so enjoy her little moments of martyrdom. Well, on the appointed day, the old gasworks was packed. Now, as we had organised the whole show, we'd naturally given ourselves the prime site for our music stall. It was an old loading bay, the only raised platform left in the entire place. And it was in such a position that anybody going anywhere had to pass it. Clever, you see. After all, we were going to sing as well as sell music, so it did seem important that we were somewhere central where we could be heard by everybody. Anyway, as Evadne said, if anybody's having that, we are. And I agreed with her. So we did. And at last, the time for the official opening of the Stockton's first arts and crafts market drew near. Ah, Tom, dear, it's almost time for the opening ceremony. Have you been round, and is everybody all right?
More or less. One or two little hiccups.
Oh, dear.
The glass blower's burned his lips. He's singed his moustache and set fire to his trousers twice already. And the potter, he hasn't got the speed of his wheel right yet. His remains of 3 earthenware vases splattered all over the end of the wall. So I advise you, when you go past him, duck.
Oh, and Tom, would you have a quiet word with that lad who's selling the T-shirts and badges? I mean, I'm not easily shocked. But I was.
It didn't stop you reading them all, though, did it?
Well, I mean, how else could I have found out that they were shocking, dear?
I'd already told you that.
Well, yes, I know, but I had to make sure you weren't just being stuffy.
Let's not pursue it, dear. Now, Tom, what about the microphone? Shouldn't it be here? The Major will open the show from our stand, you see.
So that we can get a good crowd right at the start.
I'll fetch it over. Be back in a jiff.
I say, Daphne, just look at the crowd round Maud's sweet stall already.
Get your hands off my humbugs, you little varmint, or you'll wish it never comes.
She should have run a school tuck shop, really, Hilda. She has such a way with children. And here comes your little artist friend. Mind you don't trip over him now.
Daphne, he'll hear you. Hello, Mr. Morley. All ready for the off?
Yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. I do hope you'll find time to come and look at my work, Dame Hilda, especially in view of your promise to pose for me.
Oh, yes, dear, yes. Don't worry, I certainly shall.
I look forward to see you then. Must run.
Quick, Evadne, let's have a peep while he's not there. You see, one should never look at an artist's work while the artist is in the room, dear. One cannot be objective.
Don't you mean rude, Hilda?
Well, yes, I do. But I was using artistic phraseology, you see. Oh, here it is. Oh, I say. It's funny stuff, isn't it?
Yes, isn't it?
Oh, he seems to specialize in feet. He does seem to paint everything from such a very low angle.
He is terribly small.
Yes, but even so, I mean, look at that one, the old windmill. You can't even see the sails.
It's his vision, Hilda.
Well, I really cannot for the life of me see why a man should have a vision of just the bottoms of things. He was going to paint me, you know.
Right, dear.
But I don't think I'll risk it.
You're probably wise, dear. Though you do have lovely feet.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I've got a better idea.
Have you now? What's that?
I'll ask him to repaint that ceiling at the Emporium instead. Do you know, I think it would look lovely if it was the colour of those cows. I wonder what colour that is.
Goo.
Pardon?
Nothing at all. Sorry, Major. Just evaluating a picture. Ready to open up, are we?
Yes, but there's a slight snag, I'm afraid. You see, the extra cable for the microphone hasn't arrived, and the lad who was supposed to be bringing it can't be found anywhere. Lorna says we should get on and open it anywhere.
But will you be able to make yourself heard from our stall without a microphone, Major?
No. So I'm going to open it using the microphone at the fullest extent of the existing cable.
And where exactly does that take it to?
Lorna's stall.
Funny. I had a premonition.
Well, I must run. Tom's signalling. Wish me luck.
Wish him luck. I hope he trips over his little length of cable.
Roll up, roll up. Major Dyas is about to formally open the show. Get around, get around.
I do think Tom could do that with a little less enjoyment. Oh, look, Evadne. Everybody's vanished right down there. Oh, and it was so important that we were established as the centre of activity.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have often thought the people of Stacton Trestle were by nature crafty, but now I find to my delight that they are arty as well.
Hilda, hand me a sheet of music.
Which one, Leah?
Anyone, the top one.
Here you are, then.
Splendid. Kitty the telephone girl. Nice and jolly and loud.
What are you up to, dear?
Hilda, we have 3 things that Lorna Dyrenforth doesn't. A piano and 2 strong voices. The minute he finishes, we start.
Right.
So I declare this first Stacton Arts and Crafts Market open.
Sing!
Kitty, Kitty, isn't it a pity in the city you work so hard with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7, 8, Gerald? Kitty, Kitty, isn't it a pity that we're wasting so much time with your lips close to the telephone when they should be close to mine? It's working. They're coming back. There's just one more time, Evadne. Go on, dear. Let's have it once more. Kitty, Kitty, isn't it a pity in the city you work so hard with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 serenade Gerald. Oh, Kitty, Kitty, isn't it a pity that we're wasting so much time with your lips close to the telephone when they should be close